Hello, my most amazing artists. Today you are going to finish your flower vase, your Heather Galler flower vase. Remember, you don't have to paint everything. You can leave some black and white areas, but you want to get your project looking finished. So you don't want to overdo it, but you also want it to look finished. If you have not added oil pastel inside your flowers in different areas, you need to add that. And then you may paint. You can also do a background with oil pastel, a pattern in the background. I did a green line, and then I painted over with red, and it created this resist. When you're done with this, you are going to go get a clean sheet of paper, and you are going to do a watercolor wash. Next week, we are going to print robots like kindergarten and first grade did. Several of you saw those, and I think that you guys liked those. I heard a lot of people say you wish that you were doing it. So we're going to print robots. Now, something that happened, was kind of a beautiful oops. One of my kindergartners accidentally printed his robot on his messy mat. And I thought it turned out really neat. I really like the colors in the background contrasted with the black paint. I think it looks really cool. I gave him a sheet of paper and he did not notice that, and he printed on his messy mat. But I just cut it to the right size, and I think it turned out really cool. So for you guys, so that yours will be different than the kindergarten and first grade project, I'm going to let you have a blank sheet of paper today, and you are going to paint a watercolor wash. So let me show you what that's going to look like. Okay, so here's my blank sheet of paper. When I'm finished with my flower project, I can get this blank sheet of paper from Miss Kilgore. I may be passing those out. And you're going to use the watercolor paint that is at your table. You should already have a bucket of water and paintbrushes at your table. And remember, your brush needs to be pretty drippy wet. So you can see that my brush is very wet. And a wash is when you use watercolor, but you use more water than paint. So we have been rolling our brush and our paint quite a bit. But for a wash, we're just going to roll it just a little bit, just to get a light color, okay? And you can do this however you'd like. So I'm actually going to get a little bit more yellow because yellow is a light color, and I'm going to make some marks like this. So think about messy mats and how they're just very random. There's really no rhyme or reason because several people are painting on them, and that's how I'm going to create this sheet of paper. If it's not all the way painted, that's fine. It doesn't really need to make a picture or anything like that. We're just creating an abstract work of art. Maybe I want to add a heart here. Now, that's not really a wash. My purple got a little bit too dark. So I'm going to add water to my brush and just make it a little bit lighter. So I'm just kind of randomly adding watercolor paint here. I might add some little lines here. You could paint your paper fully. You don't have to. Just try to make it look nice. Next week, we will print our robots on top. So watercolor wash, you want it very light colors, lots of water, little paint. Let me ask you this. If I paint like this, is this a wash or is that paint a little bit too dark? Okay, it is a little bit too dark. So if that happens, just wet your brush without any paint and kind of spread it around with just water. And that will help it to be more of a wash. So when you're finished with this, you're going to put this on the drying rack. If you painted on this paper today, you'll need to put it on the drying rack. And that's all we're doing today. So finishing up our flowers, painting a watercolor wash paper. Okay, so I finished with my watercolor wash. One thing that I did do once I painted kind of the whole paper, which you don't have to paint the whole paper if you don't want to, but I painted my whole paper and then I got some splatter paint on here. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I just wet my brush. Your brush needs to be pretty wet. I'm going to get some orange paint. You could do whatever color you want. And then you're going to hold your finger out like this and just kind of tap the brush lightly. So you're going to tap the brush lightly, and that will create these little splatters. So don't do too much because, again, we want our robot to show up. Also, if you decide to splatter paint, you can see there's paint all over my table. So you will need to get one wipe, just one, and you will need to kind of take this to the drying rack and move your stuff out of the way. Move your messy mat out of the way. And you're going to wipe that paint off of the table, okay, when you're done. So it's okay to be a little bit messy in art. I got to wipe it off my computer because it got on my computer. It's okay to be messy in art as long as you clean up after yourself. So be sure that you get a wipe and clean up after yourself.